Let me paint a vivid picture for you. You've poured your heart, your energy, and your soul into someone, giving them your time, your loyalty, and everything that makes you, you. But over time, they began to see all of that not as a gift, but as their right. They stopped appreciating you, took you for granted, and expected you to be there no matter how they treated you. And in that moment, you felt stuck, trapped in a cycle of giving without receiving, hoping for change that never comes. You've argued, you've explained, you've even begged for them to understand your worth. But the more you tried, the further you felt from making a difference. The truth? Nothing ever changes. But imagine this. One day, you decide to break free, not with confrontation, not with anger, but with something far more powerful: silence. You choose to disappear. There's no warning, no long goodbye, no final dramatic gesture. You simply vanish. And in that instant, the person who thought they could always take you for granted is left standing in a void, an empty space where you once stood. They can't reach you. They can't call you. And the silence that fills the air, it's deafening. It's impossible to ignore. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. The absence of your presence speaks louder than any words you could ever say. When you remove yourself from someone's life, you don't just leave, you create a void. That space forces them to confront their own thoughts, their own feelings, and their own guilt. And in that silence, the questions start. Where did they go? Did I mess up? Why am I feeling this way? The absence doesn't just make them miss you. It forces them to feel the weight of losing you. This isn't about childish games or petty revenge. This is a strategic move, a disciplined act of reclaiming your power, a deliberate choice to remove yourself from chaos and let your silence deliver the message. Think about it. Being silent isn't about withdrawing from life. It's about stepping into a space where your worth is no longer up for debate. It's about saying, I don't need to fight for your attention because I am already worthy of it. The great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And in this context, being that good man means refusing to engage in the drama, to stop explaining, and to simply let your absence show others just what they're missing. Welcome to Unlock Desire, the place where we merge the timeless wisdom of Stoicism with the sharp, practical strategies of modern psychology to help you unlock your greatest potential. In today's video, we're diving deep into the art of ghosting, not as an immature reaction, but as a powerful, intentional tool to reclaim your energy, demand the respect you deserve, and rise above the noise. We call it Ghost Them and Watch. Now, let me ask you this. How often do people truly realize the value of something until it's gone? That's the principle of scarcity, a psychological truth that says absence makes the heart grow fonder. When you disappear, you don't just fade away. You become a rarity, something they can no longer take for granted. They'll chase you. They'll regret their actions. They'll miss you in ways they never thought possible. But here's the catch. This only works if you have the strength to walk away, and more importantly, to stay gone. It's not about making a scene. It's about maintaining the self-control to step back and never return. That's where the real power lies. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to take you on a transformative journey. You'll understand why silence is far more powerful than confrontation, how absence triggers deep emotions like regret and longing, and how you can use this strategy to not only teach others a lesson, but to elevate yourself into the strongest, most untouchable version of who you can be. But before we dive deeper, let's make a declaration of power right here, right now. Scroll down to the comments and type, "My silence is my power." Let's claim this moment together. And if you're ready to reclaim your time, your energy, and your self-respect, hit that like button. This is your first step towards mastering the art of detachment and becoming untouchable. Now, let's dive in. 1. Why absence speaks louder than words. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It's a deliberate message. And here's the beauty of it. Silence doesn't argue. It doesn't try to explain itself, and it doesn't beg for understanding. Silence simply is, and that's why it's so powerful. You see, words can be twisted, misunderstood, or dismissed, but silence leaves no room for escape. It forces the other person to face the uncomfortable truth of their actions, filling in the gaps themselves, and trust me, their imagination will often be far more brutal than anything you could have said. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, when you step back, when you let silence speak for you, you are no longer at the mercy of anyone else's treatment of you. You are free. When you choose silence, you don't just withdraw from a conversation or situation, you take back your power. You revoke your participation in someone else's chaos, choosing not to feed into their drama or validate their behavior. It's a conscious decision to reclaim control over your own thoughts, emotions, and well-being. Modern psychology reinforces this idea through the concept of scarcity. People by nature are wired to value what is rare. Think about it. When you're always around, always available, always ready to respond, it's easy for others to overlook you, to take you for granted. But when you step back, when you remove yourself, you create scarcity. And scarcity creates desire. The less they see you, the more they start to think about you. The less they hear from you, the more they begin to miss you. Your absence becomes an undeniable force, a presence so powerful it cannot be ignored. It's not just that they miss your company, it's that they start to feel your absence in their life in a way they never expected. Let's consider this. When someone disrespects you, what's the typical reaction? Most people immediately argue, defend themselves, or try to convince the other person of their worth. They beg for validation, hoping that their words will somehow change the other person's mind. But in doing so, they hand over their power, giving the other person control over their emotions, their worth, and their sense of self. Now, imagine a different scenario. When you go silent, you completely flip the script. Instead of chasing validation, you become the one who is chased. Your silence is not weakness, it's strength. It forces them to question everything they thought they knew about you. They begin to reflect on their actions, on the assumptions they made, and on the value they took for granted. And the best part? They don't have you there to explain, to defend, or to beg them to understand your worth. They are left with nothing but their own thoughts. Here's the magic of it. Silence communicates more than words ever could. When you choose silence, you're telling them loud and clear that you don't need their validation, their approval, or even their presence to feel whole. That's a message they can't ignore, and it's one they won't soon forget. It's a declaration of your worth, your boundaries, and your self-respect. But let's be honest, this isn't easy. It requires incredible discipline, patience, and an unwavering belief in your own value. The ancient Stoics had a term for this ataraxia, which means inner peace. It's the ability to remain calm, unshaken and unmoved, no matter the storms raging around you. And when you master this, your silence becomes unshakable, like a fortress that no one can breach. So take a moment right now to reflect on this truth. Silence speaks louder than words because it forces others to listen to themselves. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below. My silence is my strength. Let's commit to embracing this powerful tool together. And if you're finding value in this message, don't forget to hit that like button to show your support. Now let's dig even deeper into why this works. We're going to explore the psychological effects of ghosting and the incredible power behind it. 2. The psychological effect of ghosting. Silence does more than just send a message. It triggers a profound psychological shift. When you ghost someone, you're not just fading into the background, you're activating something deeply ingrained in human behavior: the fear of loss. Humans are wired to notice what's missing, and that's where the brilliance of silence comes into play. It's called the scarcity principle, and it's one of the most powerful forces in psychology. When you're no longer there to reply to their texts, answer their calls, or entertain their endless demands, something shifts inside them. They're faced with a void, a space where you used to be, and in that space, they begin to reflect, replaying every interaction, every word, every moment, trying to figure out what went wrong. The longer you remain silent, the louder their internal dialogue becomes. Did I do something wrong? They wonder. Did they lose interest? Are they gone for good? This is the psychological genius of ghosting. It completely flips the focus from you to them. While they're lost in a whirlwind of self-doubt and regret, you are no longer in their orbit, giving away your energy or reacting to their actions. Instead, they're left alone to deal with their thoughts, their guilt, and their growing sense of loss. And here's the key. The scarcity principle tells us that when something or someone is taken away, it suddenly becomes more valuable. Think about it. When a product is labeled as limited edition, people rush to buy it because they fear they might miss out. The same applies to people. When you pull away, you go from being always accessible to being unreachable, from ordinary to extraordinary. And that's when the magic happens. They start to miss the very things they once ignored. So, by embracing silence, you don't just regain control over your emotions and energy, you become the prize. And once they realize they've lost you, that's when the real power begins to shift. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Ghosting isn't just about stepping away. It taps directly into their ego, causing a wave of self-doubt and curiosity. As soon as you remove yourself, the questions flood in. Why did they leave? Was it me? Did they find someone better? This uncertainty gnaws at their mind, unraveling their sense of control and forcing them to confront their actions and behavior. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back their insecurities, their mistakes, and their inability to appreciate you when you were there. And in this reflection, they start to feel something deep and uncomfortable, a realization that they may have lost you. The discomfort of this realization isn't something they can easily shake off, and it starts to eat at them. This mirrors the Stoic principle of emotional detachment, a mindset where peace isn't something external, but something you create from within. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "It is in your power to withdraw yourself whenever you desire." Perfect tranquility consists in the good ordering of the mind. When you ghost, you're not acting out of malice, you're withdrawing to protect your inner peace. You're essentially telling them, I choose not to engage in anything that disrupts my harmony. And as they struggle with their regrets and unanswered questions, what are you doing? You're standing firm in your own power, You are no longer the one chasing validation, explaining yourself, or trying to prove your worth. You are the one who walked away, confidently and self-assured, leaving behind a profound impact without saying a single word. Your absence, your choice to remain silent, speaks volumes more than any confrontation ever could. Before we dive deeper, let's pause for a moment to claim this power. If you're resonating with this, drop a comment below. My silence is my control. This is your declaration of independence, of mastery over your emotions and your space. And don't forget to hit that like button if you're stepping into your strength today. Now, let's move forward and explore how Stoic principles help you maintain control over your emotions, especially during this process. 3. Stoic principles on controlling emotions. Here's the raw truth. Ghosting only works if you have the emotional discipline to walk away and stay away. Without control over your emotions, the urge to break the silence, to respond in frustration, or to seek closure could undo everything you've accomplished. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes your greatest ally in this journey. The Stoics believe that true power isn't found in external events or in how others treat you. It's found in mastering your reactions. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does this mean? It means you hold the ultimate authority over how you respond. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct may be to lash out, explain yourself, or demand accountability. But when you do that, what happens? You hand over your peace of mind, letting their actions dictate your emotional state. That's not strength, that's surrender. The Stoics teach us that the key to true freedom lies in emotional detachment. Epictetus, another Stoic master, summed it up perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. When you ghost, you're not just stepping away from a person, you're stepping away from the chaos and negativity they bring. You're making the choice to not let their actions disturb your inner peace. And that choice? That is the embodiment of unshakable strength. Here's where the intersection of dark psychology and Stoic wisdom becomes incredibly powerful. When you remain silent, you're not just protecting your peace, you're sending a clear message. Your silence says, "I am in control. I don't need your validation, your attention, or your approval. My worth isn't defined by your actions or your treatment of me." That message is far more powerful than any argument, confrontation, or plea for understanding ever could be. Your silence creates an unspoken force they can't ignore, and in it, they'll find themselves questioning everything they thought they knew about you. But let's be real for a second. Controlling your emotions in this process is not easy. There will be moments when you feel the intense urge to reach out, to explain yourself, or to seek closure. You might want to ease the discomfort, to fix things, or to get an answer. But in those moments, remember this: your silence is the ultimate test of your discipline. Every time you resist the urge to engage or explain, you're strengthening your emotional resilience. You're proving to both yourself and them that you don't need to react to every slight, every insult, or every misunderstanding. You are above that. So, how do you stay disciplined? The Stoics offer us a simple yet profound approach. Focus on what you can control. You can't control how someone else feels or how they perceive you, but you can control how you respond to them. Shift your energy away from what you've lost and focus on what you're building: your peace, your growth, your power. And when you affirm this principle, you take back your emotional freedom. Right now, let's affirm this together. Head to the comments and type, "I control my emotions. They don't control me." This is your declaration of emotional independence. And once you do, take a moment to pause and feel the strength that comes with this mindset. Now let's move forward and explore how reclaiming your power through absence can change your entire perspective on relationships, self-worth, and personal growth. 4. Reclaiming power through absence. Absence isn't just about walking away from a person or a situation. It's about reclaiming what was always yours, your power, your peace, and your self-respect. When you step back, you're not disappearing into the shadows. You're sending a bold and undeniable message. I am no longer available to anyone who doesn't see my worth. And trust me, that shift is nothing short of transformational. Here's the truth. When you're always there, always present, always giving, you dilute your own value. People come to expect it. But when you step away, you create a void, a space that highlights just how much you were contributing. In that gap, something new begins to take shape. Regret, longing, and reflection. Your absence doesn't just make them notice you, it forces them to experience what life is like without you. And it's in that absence where the truth begins to hit. They miss what they had, and they now realize they took it for granted. The real power of absence is deeply rooted in two psychological principles: scarcity and boundaries. Let's dive into scarcity first. People value what they can't easily have. When you withdraw, you shift from being accessible to being rare, and people suddenly start to question, why did they leave? What did I do wrong? How can I get them back? Your absence turns you into something they can no longer take for granted. The more they feel that absence, the more they understand what they've truly lost. Now, let's talk about boundaries. Stepping away is the ultimate act of setting a boundary. You're sending a clear message. I refuse to stay in a space where I'm not respected or appreciated. Boundaries are powerful because they show self-respect, and that's a lesson most people never forget. But be prepared. People will test your boundaries. They'll try to pull you back, provoke a reaction, or make you feel guilty. But here's where the magic happens. Every time you stand firm, you reinforce your power. You demonstrate both to them and to yourself that your peace is non-negotiable. This isn't just some abstract concept. The Stoics, who were masters of emotional control and self-discipline, lived by these principles. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you focus on reclaiming your power, you are shifting your mindset. You stop worrying about what others think or how they feel. Your focus is on you, on your growth, on your well-being, and on your goals. But let's be absolutely clear. Reclaiming your power isn't about hoping that they'll come crawling back to you. It's about recognizing that you never needed them in the first place. Their reaction or lack of it does not define your worth. The very act of stepping away is your moment of rediscovery, of rebuilding your confidence, and of reminding the world that you will never settle for less than you deserve. So, what happens next? While they're caught up in their spirals of regret and curiosity, you are using this time to level up. You're not waiting for them to notice your absence. You're making sure that when they do, they won't even recognize the person you've become. That's true power. Before we move on, take a moment to claim this transformation. If you're ready to step into your power, drop a comment below. I reclaim my power through absence. Let this be your commitment to taking a step back and standing tall in your own worth. Now let's explore how dark psychology plays into this process and why your absence leaves such a profound emotional mark on those who take you for granted. 5. Dark psychology, how they'll feel your absence. When you ghost someone, it's not just about cutting them off. It's about planting seeds of deep emotion that grow into something they cannot ignore. Dark psychology shows us that absence has a profound effect on human emotions. Guilt, curiosity, longing, and even obsession. And the best part? All of this happens in their mind, while you remain completely silent. Let's start with guilt. When you disappear, the person left behind starts replaying the last interaction, searching for clues. They wonder, did I say something wrong? Did I push them away? Even if they won't admit it, a part of them begins to feel guilty for the way they treated you. Your silence acts as a mirror, reflecting their actions back to them, and guilt is the first crack in their emotional armor. It's a crack that only grows wider as they realize they have no way of getting closure. Then comes curiosity. Humans are wired to seek closure, and when it's denied, their minds start working overtime. Why did they leave? Was it something I did? Are they seeing someone else? The more they question, the more their mind races. The key here is that the less information you provide, the more valuable you become in their eyes. The absence of answers creates a vacuum, and in that vacuum, they begin to obsess over what they don't know. Next is longing. This is where the scarcity principle comes into full effect. As time passes, they start to remember the little things about you, the way you smiled, the energy you brought to the room, the stability you provided. Your absence makes these memories bigger and brighter, amplifying their desire for what they've lost. But here's the twist. The more they long for you, the more they realize they can't have you, which intensifies their longing. The more they crave, the more unattainable you become. Finally, obsession. When guilt, curiosity, and longing collide, they create an emotional cocktail so powerful that the person finds themselves thinking about you constantly. They can't stop wondering what you're doing, where you're going, or who you're with. Your absence has become a puzzle they can't solve, a mystery they can't resolve. And here's the kicker. You're not even lifting a finger. Your silence is doing all the work. From a Stoic perspective, this is the ultimate power move. By stepping away and maintaining your emotional discipline, you're not just protecting your peace, you're commanding their attention without uttering a word. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. You've chosen to value yourself enough to walk away, and now that choice is speaking volumes without you having to say a thing. But let's get one thing straight. The purpose of this is not about revenge. It's about setting a clear boundary and showing what happens when that boundary is crossed. You're not chasing, explaining, or justifying your actions. You're simply stepping back, letting them feel the weight of losing you. That's the magic of dark psychology. You use their emotions to teach them a lesson they won't soon forget. So, while they're stuck in a cycle of guilt, curiosity, longing, and obsession, what are you doing? You're focusing on yourself, on your growth, on becoming a version of yourself that doesn't just command respect, but demands it. If this resonates with you, take a moment to affirm your strength. Drop a comment below. My absence is my strength. Let this be your declaration of control over your own life. Now, let's move on and explore what you should do while you're gone, because this is where the real transformation begins. 6. What to do while you're gone. Ghosting someone is only the beginning of a much deeper and more powerful strategy. The true power lies in what you do with your absence. This is your time to transform, to elevate yourself, and to redefine who you are. While they're left wondering where you've gone and why, You're using this time to become the person they will regret losing forever, and they won't even recognize the new, empowered version of you when they see it. First, let's talk about self-improvement. This is your opportunity to double down on your personal goals. What have you been putting off? Perhaps fitness, learning a new skill, or advancing your career. Maybe it's something as simple as taking time for self-care and truly prioritizing your well-being. Your absence from their life should not just leave a void for them to mourn. It should create a space where you thrive and flourish. The next time they hear about you or catch a glimpse of you, they should be struck by how unrecognizably incredible you've become. They won't just regret losing you. They'll wonder how they ever got the chance to. Next, let's focus on your mental and emotional glow-up. This goes beyond the physical and dives deep into your inner transformation. Take this time to focus on cultivating inner peace, mastering self-discipline, and sharpening your mindset. The Stoics, revered for their wisdom and mental strength, believed that true power comes from within. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Use your silence as an opportunity to master your emotions, to let go of old resentments, and to build unshakable confidence, the kind that cannot be ignored. But don't forget about your physical presence. While the inner glow is essential, so is the external transformation. Hit the gym, clean up your diet, or upgrade your style. It's not about impressing them, it's about becoming the best version of yourself for you. When you're glowing from the inside out, they'll notice. And trust me, when they do, they'll be wondering, how did they become even more incredible after leaving me? They'll feel the full weight of your transformation, and it will haunt them. Then, let's talk about your social presence, but not in the way you think. This isn't about posting on social media just to make them jealous or stir their emotions. That's petty and beneath you. Instead, focus on building authentic connections. Meet new people, create new relationships, and expand your network. Let your absence from their life be a reminder that you're not just moving on, you're leveling up. You're growing into a more connected, confident, and empowered person, and that growth will be impossible to ignore. Finally, let's discuss the importance of silence. This is where discipline becomes essential. Don't reach out to check on them. Don't respond to their attempts to provoke a reaction. Every time you stay silent, you are reinforcing the boundary you've set. You're showing them and yourself that you have the strength to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your goals, and your future. Silence isn't just a tool, it's a symbol of your newfound power. The beauty of this strategy is that it's not about them, it's all about you. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you're no longer waiting for their recognition, approval, or validation. You're giving yourself everything you once sought from them. That's where the true power lies. This journey is yours and yours alone. Take a moment right now to affirm this shift. Drop a comment below. I glow up in silence. Let this be your reminder that your absence isn't just punishment for them. It's a gift you're giving to yourself. You're not only reclaiming your space in their life, you're reclaiming your life. Now let's move on to what happens when they inevitably come back and how to handle it with grace and strength. 7. The inevitable comeback. So, what happens next? Here's the thing about ghosting. It leaves an impact. When someone feels the weight of your absence, you can almost guarantee one thing: they'll come back. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in the way you expect, but eventually, they'll find some reason to re-enter your life. The question is, are you ready for it? When they do reach out, it's likely to start small: a text, a like on an old photo, or maybe a casual comment on your social media. Why? Because they're testing the waters. They want to see if the door they took for granted is still open. This is where your discipline will be tested. Will you respond or will you stay silent? Remember, their comeback isn't about them, it's about you. It's your moment to decide if they still deserve a place in your life. But before we jump to your response, let's take a step back and understand why this happens. When you ghost someone, you become a mystery. Dark psychology tells us that humans are naturally drawn to what they can't figure out. Your silence has created a void in their mind, and they're desperate to fill it. That desperation is what drives them back to you. But here's the crucial point. You're no longer the person they once knew. You've grown and transformed. You've elevated yourself to a point where their presence in your life is no longer a necessity. So, how do you handle it when they reach out? First, don't let their return shake your peace. Remember the Stoic principle. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Their reappearance doesn't mean you owe them anything, not an explanation, not forgiveness, and certainly not access to the life you've rebuilt in their absence. If you do choose to respond, do so from a place of strength, not emotion. Keep it short, neutral, and focused on your boundaries. For example, say something like, "I hope you're doing well. I've been focusing on myself and my goals." This sends a clear message. You've moved on, and you're no longer the person they once took for granted. On the flip side, if you decide not to respond, that's equally powerful. Silence, in this case, is still a weapon. By refusing to engage, you reinforce your value and show them that you're not willing to revisit the past. The most important thing to remember is that their comeback doesn't validate you. You've already validated yourself by walking away and growing into the person you are today. Their return is a reflection of what they've lost, not of your worth. So, when the inevitable comeback happens, handle it with grace. Let your actions and your growth speak louder than any words. Stay calm, stay grounded, and most importantly, stay focused on the path you've paved for yourself. Take a moment to claim this power. Drop a comment below. I rise above the past. Let this be your declaration of strength, no matter what comes your way. Now, let's dive into the most important part of this strategy, empowering yourself to stay ghosted and remain in control. Because this is where your real power lies. 8. Empowering yourself to stay ghosted. The hardest part of ghosting isn't walking away, it's staying away. It's the battle against the constant urge to break the silence, to check in, or to see if they've noticed your absence. But here's where your true strength lies. This is the ultimate test of self-discipline. Staying ghosted is not just about cutting someone out. It's about reclaiming your power, protecting your peace, and building a life that doesn't revolve around their approval. Why is it so tempting to reach out? Because silence can feel unnerving. You might question whether they've moved on, whether they're suffering like you did, or if they've just forgotten about you altogether. But here's the truth. Breaking the silence means giving them back the control you've worked so hard to take. When you reach out, you're silently saying, "Your opinion of me still matters." And let me tell you, that is the opposite of power. The moment you silence that voice in your head urging you to break the silence, you reclaim your freedom. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Staying ghosted is an act of emotional mastery. It's about choosing peace over drama, self-respect over validation, and growth over stagnation. Every time you resist the urge to break your silence, you're reinforcing your independence and proving to yourself that you don't need anyone to feel whole or worthy. But what about closure? Many people break the silence because they're looking for answers, trying to clear the air, or seeking validation for their decision to walk away. Let me be clear. Closure is not something someone else can give you. It's something you create for yourself. The moment you decided to leave, you gave yourself closure. You don't need their words, their explanations, or their remorse to justify your decision. You've already moved on. You are the closure. So how do you empower yourself to stay ghosted and not cave in? Here's how. Stay focused on your why. Remember why you walked away in the first place. Think about the boundaries you've set, the person you're becoming, and the life you're working towards. Write it down if you need to. When the urge to reach out hits, remind yourself of the progress you've made and what you stand to lose if you go back. Each time you remember your why, it becomes easier to stay strong. Redirect your energy. Instead of obsessing over what they're thinking or what they're doing, pour that energy into yourself. Focus on your goals, your passions, and your growth. Let the energy you once used to wonder about their actions fuel the creation of the best version of you. Remember, your silence isn't just about punishing them, it's about protecting your space to focus on your own success. Surround yourself with support. Silence doesn't mean isolation. You are not in this alone. Find people who uplift and support you. Lean on friends, mentors, or even communities like this one, who remind you of your worth and help you stay grounded. You can always lean on the strength of others while staying true to yourself. Trust the process. Silence is a long game. You may not see immediate results, but trust that every day you stay ghosted, you're transforming. This isn't just about teaching them a lesson. It's about building your inner strength, your independence, and your peace. Stay focused on your growth and trust that the silence you maintain now will lead to a future you never could have imagined without it. Now take a moment to commit to this journey. Drop a comment below. I am stronger in silence. Let this be your declaration of strength, your pledge to stay disciplined, focused, and unwavering. You're building a life on your terms, and that's where the real power lies. Closing thoughts. Empowerment in silence. You've made it this far. You're not just learning a strategy, you're reclaiming control over your life. Ghosting is more than just cutting someone out. It's about reclaiming your power, protecting your peace, and prioritizing your growth. It's about walking away from what no longer serves you and stepping into the person you were always meant to become. Let's recap. Your absence is your message. It speaks volumes without uttering a single word. It forces them to reflect on their actions, their losses, and their regrets, while you focus on your glow-up, your goals, and your peace. Your silence isn't a punishment for them. It's a gift to yourself, a gift of clarity, strength, and freedom. But this journey doesn't end here. Staying ghosted, staying disciplined, staying focused on your transformation is a daily commitment. It's not easy, but that's what makes it so incredibly powerful. Every time you resist the urge to engage, you're making the conscious decision to choose yourself. You're choosing growth over stagnation, peace over chaos, and strength over weakness. And that choice? That's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. As we wrap up, I want you to remember, the best revenge is never revenge at all. It's living a life so rich, so full, and so aligned with your purpose that those who once underestimated you feel your absence. That's true power. That's what it means to be stoic, disciplined, and unshakable. Now, let's make this official. If this video resonated with you, if you're ready to embrace silence as your strength, drop a comment below. My silence is my power. Let's declare this together as a community. And before you go, don't forget to like this video. It's your first step toward reclaiming your control. Subscribe to Unlock Desire for more content that empowers, uplifts, and sharpens your mindset. Turn on notifications so you never miss an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, your silence isn't just the absence of words. It's the presence of self-respect, discipline, and undeniable strength. Stay focused, stay stoic, and stay blessed. I'll see you in the next one.